plane wave propagation in general directions. In our last video lectures, we have talked about the propagation of a uniform plane wave at normal incidence, which means that here the boundaries are perpendicular to the direction of propagation. That is called a normal incident. But here we talk about oblique incidence. Oblique incidence means in this case the boundaries are not perpendicular to the direction of propagation. So let us talk about oblique incidence. For this we consider a wave propagating lossless medium. Lossless medium means attenuation constant alpha is equals to 0. And also we consider a propagation constant denoted by k. In general, the propagation constant k is equals to phase constant beta and its value is omega under root mu epsilon. So in oblique incidence we consider a propagation constant denoted by k and its value is beta, that is equals to omega under root mu epsilon. And for oblique incident we assume a uniform plane wave travel in a direction between x-axis and z-axis and having a propagation constant in a vector form, that is k vector. The magnitude of k vector is called a propagation constant, that is k, and in terms of vector it is same as the direction of pointing vector, which indicates the direction of propagation of uniform plane wave. And also we assume isotropic medium. In isotropic medium, the permittivity and permeability does not change with field orientations. Field may be electric field or magnetic field. So when the permittivity and permeability does not change, then the medium is called isotropic medium. And also we note a point. An isotropic media is a media in which epsilon and mu depend on field orientations. But here we assume an isotropic medium in which epsilon and mu does not change with field orientations. So here we consider oblique incident and we assume a wave travel in a direction between x-axis and z-axis. And the direction of propagation of uniform plane wave is indicated by k vector, that is called a pointing vector. And this pointing vector makes an angle theta with respect to x-axis. And here we note a point. The magnitude of k vector, that is a pointing vector, is phase shift per unit distance along the direction. So along the propagation of k vector, there is a phase shift per unit distance. So here we consider a series of phase fronts. The phase front is called a plane of constant phase. So on the xz plane, we consider a series of phase fronts and we set a phase shift of 2 pi between two adjacent fronts. So here the distance between the two adjacent front is lambda, that is a wavelength. And the phase shift per unit distance is 2 pi. Because we know that beta is equals to 2 pi upon lambda. When we put lambda equals to 1, that is the unit distance, we get a phase shift that is 2 pi. So here we consider a series of phase fronts which having a phase velocity u suffix p towards k vector. Now along the x-axis, the phase velocity is denoted by u suffix px and having a wavelength that is lambda suffix x. And from the geometry of this wavefronts, the wavelength along x is greater than wavelength along k vector. Similarly, the phase velocity towards x is also greater than phase velocity towards k vector. So this is a surprising result which is obtained in oblique incidence. Now on this xz plane, the pointing vector k vector having two components. One component along x-axis and second component along z-axis. So the component along x-axis is k suffix x and component along z-axis is k suffix z. Now we consider a general point or a location on this xz plane, that is on a phase front. So here we consider a general location which having a position vector small r vector, and this position vector having a location xz, because this point is on xz plane, so its points is x comma z, and this position is located on a phase front. Phase front is a plane of constant phase. So to determine the phase of this location with position vector small r vector, and the phase is given by the projection of k vector along r vector times the magnitude of r vector, or we just take a dot product of k vector and r vector. So we simply says that to determine the phase of the r vector or the location, we have to determine the dot product of pointing vector k vector and r vector. And we know that in a uniform plane wave the electric field is sufficient. So here we consider a electric field in phasor form, which is a general form, and it is written as E suffix s vector is equals to E naught vector into e to power minus j k vector dot r vector. So this is a general form of the electric field in phasor form in case of oblique incidence. In this, the exponent having a dot product, that is k vector dot r vector, which indicates the phase of a given location, and obtained by taking a projection of k vector along r vector. And here there is a negative sign. The negative sign indicates phase along r vector moves in time with the direction of increasing r vector. Because we know that generally the electric field is oriented towards x-axis, but here we consider oblique incident. In oblique incident, the direction of propagation is towards k vector, and from a geometry we see that the direction of propagation is in between x-axis and z-axis, and here the phase velocity towards x-axis is greater than the phase velocity towards k vector. So there is a decrease in phase along r vector as compared to phase along x-axis. And here we note a point. Due to the isotropic medium, the power flow along k vector, or we can say the phase shift per unit distance, is maximum, because in isotropic medium the permittivity and permeability does not change with field orientations. So we get a maximum power flow along k vector. Now in oblique incidence, we consider a two-dimensional case, because here the pointing vector is on xz plane, so it is a two-dimensional, and here the k vector having two components, one along x-axis and second along z-axis. So k vector is equals to kx unit vector x plus kz unit vector z. Similarly, the position vector, that is r vector, can be written as x unit vector x plus z unit vector z. So to determine the electric field in phasor form, we have to determine the dot product of k vector and r vector. So k vector dot r vector is equals to kx into x plus k suffix z into z. So the electric field phasor in a general form is written as es vector equals to e naught vector into e to power minus j within bracket kx into x plus kz into z. So this is a electric field phasor and specific to the situation in which there is a oblique incidence. And also the k vector, that is a pointing vector, makes an angle theta with respect to x-axis. So we can also determine theta, that is equals to tan inverse of k suffix z upon k suffix x. Also we can determine the wavelength lambda, that is equals to 2 pi upon beta. In place of beta we can write k, because k is of propagation constant, that is same as phase constant in oblique incidence. So here lambda is equals to 2 pi upon under root kx square plus kz square. Also the phase velocity u suffix p is equals to omega upon beta. In place of beta we can write k, so it is equals to omega upon under root kx square plus kz square. So here we note a point. Here we consider x direction, and along the x direction the wavelength is lambda x and its value is 2 pi upon k suffix x, and phase velocity towards x is u suffix px and its value is omega upon k suffix x. And from the geometry there is a surprising result, and here wavelength along x-axis is greater than wavelength along k vector. Also the phase velocity along x-axis is greater than phase velocity towards k vector. So we can say that the phase velocity along x must be faster than the velocity along k vector. That exceeds the speed of light in the medium, and here the medium is isotropic medium. And here there is a term that is called a wave frequency. Wave frequency can be written as omega upon 2 pi, or phase velocity upon lambda, or phase velocity toward x upon wavelength toward x. Now we discuss the concept of oblique incidence in details. Here the plane of incidence is situated on xz plane, where the incident wave is denoted by k1 plus vector, and the reflected wave is denoted by k1 minus vector, and the transmitted wave is denoted by k2 vector. Here k vector is called a pointing vector. In case of oblique incidence, the propagation of wave is between x-axis and z-axis. This transmitted wave, that is k2 vector, makes an angle theta 2. That is called a transmitted angle. Here theta 1 is called incident angle and theta 1 dash is reflected angle. So the incident wave and reflected wave is in medium 1, that is intrinsic impedance eta 1, and transmitted wave is in medium 2 having intrinsic impedance eta 2. So in medium 1 there is an incident wave and reflected wave, where in medium 2 there is a transmitted wave. All the three waves, that is incident wave, reflected wave and transmitted wave, is on the plane of incidence, that is xz plane. And here we consider two medium, that is medium 1 and medium 2 are lossless dielectric, and the material are non-magnetic in nature and having permeability mu naught. Now we note a point. Here the dielectric constant of the lossless dielectric in two medium is epsilon r1 and epsilon r2, and these dielectric constant can be expressed as refractive index n1 and n2. The relation between refractive index and dielectric constant is n equals to under root of epsilon r. So this is a relationship of refractive index and dielectric constant. And in oblique incidence the propagation constant is denoted by k, and its value is equals to phase constant beta, and its value is omega under root mu epsilon. Here mu is mu naught, because in this case we consider a material that is non-magnetic material, and epsilon is epsilon naught into epsilon r. So in terms of refractive index, the propagation constant is denoted by n into omega under root mu naught epsilon naught, and this value can be written in terms of velocity of light in free space, that is n into w upon c. Here c is equals to 1 upon under root mu naught epsilon naught, and its value is 3 into 10 to the power 8 meter per second.